Hello again, my friends, and you are my friend, and it is, of course, Sunday, 1:32, technically 2 minutes late. I do apologise, but we are live. It is the Talking Town flagship podcast. I am your mediator, otherwise known as your host, and I will mediate between two of our heavyweight contributors this afternoon. Of course, in the red corner, we will have Matty 2T's Phillips going up against Richard Cruncher Moss, who was obviously in attendance at Wycombe. I hope he's thawed out a little bit. Billy Dalton straight in the chat asking, did Cruncher see Alex Griffin in his Buzz Lightyear outfit yesterday at Wycombe? I'm sure Cruncher did. Cruncher's a very nice guy. He does a lot of meet and greets. I'm sure Alex Griffin popped over for an autograph or two. But he's shaking his head at me, so I don't think he did see Alex yesterday. But sadly, what we did see was Town. Well, did we ever actually create a chance where the keeper got his shorts today? I can't quite remember it. We had the daisy cutter from Connor Chaplin, which I'm sure we'll discuss in some more detail a bit later on. But what are your thoughts and feelings on yesterday's 1-0 defeat at Wycombe? Live chat. There'll be a live link at about the halfway mark of the show. And as always, we are live tomorrow night. We weren't live last week. Last week we did Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. This week we're doing Sunday, Monday, Christmas. So Christ, Christmas already. Good Lord. But yeah, so we are live tomorrow. So if you don't get on today's show, you are absolutely guaranteed to get on and start tomorrow night's show. We've got Matt Stannard in the room, Stephen Parry, Mark Rattle. Not seen Mark in a while. Hope you are well. Anthony Steele, good afternoon. Talking Towners, good afternoon. Jem Salmon, all the way from North Wales. Stephen Parry with a better side. A poor, sloppy goal. Needs to be more clinical, but a lot of players coming back in the January window coming up. Big picture. Wazza, with all these injuries and still second is astonishing, really. Big players returning and big money available in January. Our goal, just keeping that top spot warm. I like it. Big fighting words. Now, here is your league table before I bring the contributors in. We, of course, still sit second, 2 points ahead of Wednesday. Plymouth are top. Barnsley are a team in red hot form. 2 games in hand on us. Obviously, they can't catch us if they win both those games, but they could make it a little bit interesting. Maybe a 4-horse race for that top 2. It was looking like a 3-horse race for a while, but now a 4th has entered the fray. Maybe. I did say Barnsley would be a top team this year. Was shot down a couple of times by various different people. Looking at you down the bottom there, you know who you are. But here they are on the march. So James Norwood, I don't know how he's getting on. I really don't. I really don't care. Matt Stannard, Gov, balanced performance to the Lambert S section of it. Now, come on. Lambert had Hawkins and Drinnan. We've had Chaplin and Adapo. We should be a little bit better by now. Right, let's bring in our Driscoll
Somebody
brothers.
get the tables.
Hard Truth are here, delivering the truth that nobody wants to hear. The Cruncher and the Media Mogul. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we?
Good, thanks. You all right?
No, I'm not all right. She's nesting. She's doing my nutting.
Oh,
So if
dear.
this show lasts 4 hours, I'll say sorry afterwards.
Still got snow and ice around your ways?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
so.
still in, mate. Here we go. By tomorrow, 13 degrees tomorrow, mate.
I hate walking in the ice. I just feel like I'm going to fall over.
I've got birds in the garage. The pipes have been frozen for a week, so to change their waters, I've had to come in and out of the house, up several steps. It has been like dancing on ice. It has been ridiculous.
They're coping all right, though, are they? The birds?
Well, they're from Australia, so they're used to having, low water supply. But they're fine. They do. I've got 3 chicks doing really well, loving life at the moment. It's my sanctuary from the nesting of the house. She's in. All I can hear at the moment, Rich, is clanging and banging next door. Like I don't know what she's building now, but she's on one.
She's putting them cupboards up, Rich, that you delivered that time.
The cop been built.
It has. Yeah. Did that. Well, I say I did that. I watched her do that, but I gave her moral support.
Yeah.
All that. Got to. So yesterday, 1-0 defeat away at Wycombe. What are our general thoughts, Rich? I'll start with you because you were there. You braved the elements. You met your fans.
It was freezing.
How was
Couldn't
it?
feel my toes. Couldn't feel my toes. What were my thoughts? Look, we were in control for 99% of that game, and we go to sleep and we give a really poor goal away. And then second half, Wycombe say, look, break us down. And we couldn't do it, Martin. We couldn't do it. We had all huff and a lot of puff, but it was one of them games where I tweeted last night. I love the football we play under Kieran McKenna, but certain games you'll go to, we could have been there till midnight last night and we still wouldn't have scored. You know, we had a lot of the ball. I thought wide areas. I thought we were poor yesterday. Delivery into the box was pretty poor, Martin. I thought probably Ladapo was one of our better players. I thought he played well, you know, and it's one of them things. But we need to shake it off and get back on the horse Boxing Day and get 3 points against Oxford, which won't be easy because they went to Hillsbury yesterday and all accounts should have won.
They should have done, but you know, I'm already anticipating a draw because Oxford are the draw specialists. Look at that. Out of the last 5, they've drawn 4. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they've got a bit of form going. I think they're unbeaten in 10 in all competitions. So
they missed the pen, didn't they, yesterday, Rich? Was it Oxford?
Yeah,
missed the pen?
95th minute, saved by the goalkeeper.
Wow.
But
shocking.
But look, it is what it is. I think sometimes a lot of with our fan base, it's overreaction. It's a defeat, and we're all disappointed. I get that, but I agree with Stephen Parry's the bigger picture. You do have to look at the bigger picture, Martin. Where we are in the league, 3 defeats from 22. Replicate that in the second half of the season, and we'll be thereabouts.
Yeah,
No
thereabouts. All right, Phillips, from the comfort of the iFollow suite, how did you see the game before we get into specifics? That's an ocean. Specifics. How did you see it?
Yeah, massively disappointing. Toothless is how I described it yesterday after the game was over. I just don't get this. I just don't get this thing when McKenna comes out and goes, "Oh, there were lots of positives in the performance." I don't see the positives of 600 passes, 71% possession, and we don't win the game. And I do like passing football, right? But McKenna's football is starting to grate me a little bit because it's this constant.
Go back to? That's nonsense. You have a philosophy and a way you play, Matt, and you don't just rip it up because it ain't working. What do we want to go back to? Lumping it forward like we are on the McCarthy.
I don't think we are a good passing team. I floated this last week.
You're second in the league, for fuck's sake. We're 2 points off the top of the table. People need to fucking look at the bigger picture here. It's utter nonsense saying, "Oh,
McKenna doesn't.
What's 3 games all season? 3 games.
McKenna doesn't look at the bigger picture, though, does he? He doesn't look.
Go on the Sheffield Wednesday. Go on the Sheffield Wednesday forum. They're losing their minds as well. 3 points out of 9. Bigger picture.
McKenna doesn't look at the big picture. He looks at it's always the next game for him, and they weren't good enough yesterday. They were again. They were not good enough yesterday. We couldn't break down Cheltenham. We couldn't break down Fleetwood, and we couldn't break down Wycombe. There's a pattern here. We can't break teams down. The one moment really yesterday, and we discussed this on the phone, didn't we? Yesterday, Rich, was the little move. Burgess. Jackson did the flick. Yeah. Comes to Chaplin on the edge of the box. Either side of the keeper.
You wouldn't want anyone else in that position, Matt. What, 12, 13 yards out, centre of the goal?
Well, 9 times out of 10, you'd want him there, wouldn't you? Because it's his perfect position. But I just don't think. I am really worried. I just don't see how this Ipswich team have to create so many chances just to score a goal. And teams find it easy to score against us. I mean, look, we've had how many 90th minute goals against us? When we needed one yesterday, we couldn't do it. And like you just said, Reg, we could still be there now playing. Yeah. We can't dig them results out. And if you can't dig the results out, you ain't going to get promoted. Now, we're only halfway through the season, right? If you said to me August, start of August.
The form table, Matt, for the last 10 games. That's rubbish.
Well, not anymore, though, are we? We're not now.
One game. It's one game in isolation, and everyone has a meltdown and loses their fucking heads.
For Wednesday, second in the form table. We're down in 9th or 10th, I believe. Off the last 6.
Let me counter that. Is it an isolation game, or is it more of a broader aspect of not playing well over the last 5-6 games?
It's all about.
When's the last time you really felt we played well?
It's not all about playing well. It's a 46-game season, and you're going to have to just dig out results sometimes when you're not playing well, which we have. We didn't play that well against Peterborough when we beat them.
We can't seem to be able to do that, though. We can't seem to be able to do that at the moment. For whatever reason, I don't know why.
Would we have all taken being second in the table at Christmas? Yes, we would. With power to add in the window, which a lot of other teams can't.
But you see, that's where I'm really quite annoyed at the moment this morning, waking up and in the shower, I was thinking about this because I actually felt sorry for McKenna yesterday because it was clear as day we needed something off the bench. We just don't have that something off the bench? He's been given
I thought when
nothing to work with.
I thought when Aluko and Edwards came on for 10, 15 minutes, I thought we looked a bit more threatening, and then we sort of went back into sort of what we'd done before that. Kyle Edwards he's a frustrating player, guys, because I think he's got all the skill in the world.
Really good,
he can beat a player. He's got a trick, and then he gets in some great positions. His delivery's poor, but he wasn't the only one. There was too many players yesterday. Wes Burns, I was very surprised he stayed on the pitch. Because I thought until the last 10 minutes, he didn't take his fullback on. He got the ball last season, Martin. He wouldn't have even had a thought. He'd have got that ball, knocked it by the fullback. I would get a shot away or get a cross away, and he didn't do it. But I think down the right side, I said to Matt on the phone, I thought we massively missed Donatian yesterday. I know you might not agree with me, Martin, but I thought Kane Vincent-Young, he's way off it. He had one run, didn't he, Matt, in that first half when it looked like the Kane Vincent-Young of old. Other than that, I thought he was poor.
Yeah, he looked way off it. I
thought he was all right. I thought going forward, he was really quite a handful. I thought he was looking rather a threat.
If you could have Kane Vincent Donatian, you'd have a really good play, wouldn't you? Because you've got someone who's pretty solid and get forward and cross the ball. But he made a lot of mistakes. He looked off it yesterday. Other than that one run.
Go back to Carl Brooks's in the chat there a little while ago, Martin. We do have to remember we're a League One team. We ain't winning every day.
We are.
Spot on.
We are. But back to what I was sort of saying a second ago is, everyone's saying this window is massive, and it is massive, but it's only just as massive because I feel we kind of kicked the pooch at the back end of the summer window with what we ended up giving our manager in terms of game changers off the bench. We needed a second striker yesterday, and who did you have? Even if Jackson hadn't started after the Dapo, who have you got? You've got Caden Jackson. And I'm his biggest fan, but even I'm going to tell you, he ain't a goal scorer. And Hadmi, who has proved to be, well, not had minutes to prove anything, but he certainly, when he has had minutes like yesterday, didn't look on it at all. No. Where were we presenting McKenna with, right, here's your plan B, here's your plan C? We massively kicked the pooch towards the back end of the window in the summer. And I can't see how anybody can say any different. That's why we can't change games, because we don't have game changers from the bench. Simple.
Look, I totally agree with that. I mean, when Kevin Lisby used to come on, Rich, I used to go, oh, bloody hell, here comes the goal machine. And I feel like I've got this vibe with Hadmi as well. But look, maybe he's just filling time until we do get someone in.
See, one player we've missed, Matt, and I don't think I'd be surprised if he plays much more for us. I think we missed John Jules. I think he was pretty decent when we had him because he was that option off the bench. He could play centrally, he could play wide.
Yep.
Look, it's injuries. It's football. You have to cope when these players are out. But we've discussed to have me before, Martin. Where was he on that dashboard? I don't know. But is he going to get the goals? Is he going to get the goals to get us out of this league? I don't think he's good enough. If I'm personally, I'd loan him out in January. I'd sign 2 strikers in January.
That's what Martin said last week, wasn't it? You said that. Yeah. It's we are. Yeah, you're right. We are missing John Jules. Absolutely. It's just it's frustrating, isn't it? Because, as you say, Martin, we could have addressed that in the window. But I saw on our Discord today people floating that Peterborough are going to sell Johnson Clark Harris. But at the same time, who is really is going to, how dynamic is this window going to be? Because our club's really going to fund Ipswich Town's promotion push. All right, we'll lose one of our biggest assets, albeit for a good price. I don't know who will we get. I just don't know. I just don't see who the names are.
It's going to have to be money, though, isn't it? It's going to have to be a sort of a splash. And I don't know. It's just the window before we had the whole Crooks. Is it Crooks at Rotherham? Oh, yeah, Crooks. Yeah, we had that whole sort of but will he, won't he? That tunnel vision. Yeah. Then it was Hurst this summer window. Yeah. I'm all for liking a player, but you've got to have the options after it. And is Hadmi the option after Hurst?
No.
If it is,
can't have been.
I want to adjust the settings on the dashboard.
Yeah. Look, Mark Ashton come on the show and told us January is a funny time for transfers. I think everyone seems to think it's going to be like a summer window this. I don't. It's going
to have to be, Matt, because we're so light. You've got Chris at West Brom at the moment who's bigging up Carlos Corberan, how the 5 subs are now a massive part of it, and how you end the game is going to be just as important as you start the game. Yeah. And if you look at our bench, and yes, we're a League One side, but we're a League One side with a lot of resources at our disposal.
We're not a League One side. I'm not having that.
No, we're not.
Like,
No,
people are saying that in the comments. Like, we are a League One. We're not really. We actually sit between the two. Oxford United, or someone who sits in mid to lower tables, a League One side,
yeah,
they bloody
true,
kill
true.
for our resources.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not even
Of course
been
they
enough
would.
to get us top at Christmas because we have a second.
But, you know, every team has a talisman, Rich. Our talisman is Connor Chaplin. And when Connor Chaplin does not play well or score, we struggle to play well or score.
I wouldn't have took him off yesterday. I think when you're needing a goal, I'd still have Connor on the pitch.
I agree.
But look, we do have to realise, right? People saying, "Oh yeah, Wycombe, Tim Pot, you know, whatever, this, that, and the
It's a
other."
different team, though.
We do have to realise that they've been in the Championship 2 seasons back. They got in the playoffs last year, got in the playoff final. They're hardly any mugs, are they? And we might not like the way they play football, the way they conducted themselves. You know, at the end of the game, as a few things went on. You know, the goalkeeper going down, Martin, with 20 minutes left. Like the ball's 80 yards up the other end, and the goalkeeper's laying on the floor with, I don't know what's the matter with him. You know, but these are things that we have to overcome them. We have to overcome them. We weren't good enough ourselves yesterday doing our own job. So Wycombe, who compared to us, Matt, have got a small ground, a small fan base, a pretty small budget, I would have thought. I know that their owner said that's why they give more tickets yesterday for the Town fans, because obviously they want to generate revenue, which is fair enough. But we weren't good enough yesterday to beat them. They scored a goal probably out of their only, it wasn't even a chance, it was a half chance. Then they said, second half, there we go. We're going to stick everyone behind the ball, come and break us down. And we weren't good enough. We weren't good enough at it. You know, we can all say about, Colin says it's cheating. Is it cheating? It's gamesmanship. We don't like it, but if we do our jobs properly, if Chaplin scores that goal, Matt, in the first half, it's little moments like that, you know, it's a different game. But we don't score, and then 5 minutes later, we give a really poor goal away, Martin, there. We've lost a physical battle in the middle of the field, and I thought Humphreys yesterday showed that he was a young, inexperienced player, because I thought he got bullied out of the game. You know, he had a couple of nice touches, a couple of nice passes sort of into the second half, but I said to Mike yesterday, as soon as Lee Evans is up to speed and fully fit, he's straight back in that team. Humphreys is going to be a really good player, so I'm not binning him off, but in that moment when he had 2 chances there, Martin, to win that ball, he's got turned too easily, then he's had another go at him and he's been too strong. But Cameron Burgess, I thought that was really poor defending from him. He's made it so easy. Mate, it's just a straight run, really, isn't he? He's not really done anything to score that goal yet.
He just dangled foot. In the Bundesliga, when you score a goal, they tell you what you might hate this, what the XG was at the time the move started. He must have been, that handler must have been 0.5%, I would have thought. Ludicrous goal to give away. And everyone kept saying, oh, what a great run, Maisie run. Well, I could have bloody scored that if no one was going to tackle me.
Yeah, the only fairness I can give to Burgess is the fact he's in the box. And, you know, you dangle a leg, you have any type of perceived contact. You give a referee.
Still, if he stands still,
he's not going to do that.
He wasn't coming from the side either, was he? He didn't come from the side. He was square on.
He made it. Yeah, he made it too easy. He tried to play him down the wing, made it far, sold himself a kipper, but then Walton's hardly covered himself in a world of glory either. He's kind of done what I would do in goal, and I'm not Christian Walton. I'm a Sunday morning goalkeeper.
Just more ludicrous goals we give away. Makes it more so difficult for ourselves. We've seen it time and time again. It's going to happen season, isn't it?
That was drifting towards 0-0 at half time. You probably think, right, we go in and then we can regroup and go again second half. And then we give them something to hang on to. And then you just made it. We make things hard for ourselves, don't we?
We do. And what I was surprised about this morning, I was doing a little bit of research, is it's just how far and away Leif Davis is our big assist maker. So if Chaplin is our talisman in terms of goals, and Davies is our talisman in terms of assists, when he doesn't play well or doesn't manage to put the ball in the box in the right manner, we don't score. I mean, you've got Burns, who's got 5. He's the closest to Davies. Chaplin on 2 assists, Harness on 1 assist, Ladapo on 2, and Edwards on 0 assists. I mean, I won't tell you what Sonny Aluko is because he's been injured. But you're not creating anything from those players there. So Davies and Chaplin, really, that's Ipswich Town at the moment, Matt. That's kind of it.
That's the worry, isn't it? Just, you know, if you've got a couple of individuals having an off day, Ipswich will struggle. I actually think Morsey's the talisman in terms of, as we addressed last week, always available for the ball.
He's heartbeat, but not the talisman.
That's That's why he's always in the mix for man of the match, because he always makes himself available, and a lot of the moves start through him. But it just worries me that Ipswich have so much of this possession, so much of this passing game, don't score or don't create enough shots on target or whatever it might be. Because then you're playing a dangerous game, then, aren't you? Because if you do go one down, as you did against Wycombe yesterday, how many chances have you then got to create for the law of averages to say you're going to score one? Because we don't seem to have like one shot target score one. You know what I mean? And this is my worry going into the second half of the season, and whether or not new signings will address that, I don't know. I'm still not convinced clubs are going to turn around and give us their best players.
Well, not without parting a bit of hard cash, monopoly money, no.
No. So then it does become desperation stakes, Rich. Are you then paying massively over the odds? I mean, who could possibly be an option? Someone coming out of midfield or could be a 10.
Funny enough, I was listening to Radio Suffolk on the way home last night. I was listening back on BBC Sounds, and they were talking. Charlie Austin's name was mentioned, Matt. He's just come back from Brisbane Roar. No, listen, I'm just saying what I heard on the radio. He's been playing regular out there. He had a good goal record when he was at QPR last season. So I'm just saying, there's a name. I'm not saying we're going to sign Charlie Austin, but there's somebody I think who could score goals in this league, given the chance. I just feel like the more realistic targets are going to be players from teams that are even not going down or not going up. So take Oxford, for example, as I just said. That Brannigan seems to be a very good League One player. I don't know what he's been like this season, but he's certainly good from the penalty spot, etc. He could be someone that you could buy, because they ain't going down, they ain't going up, as far as I can see. But I can't see anyone, the real pivotal players, competing in the top 8, looking for playoffs. I don't see how they. And it's hard. It's hard if you want to strike him, Martin, because you're going to come in. Yeah. Are you going to be first choice? The way we play, we're only playing one. I know we chucked on. I had me second half yesterday for the last 15 minutes. So I thought the Dapo played well yesterday. I thought he'd done everything you wanted your striker to do. He got hold of the ball. There was a couple of times maybe when he could be. A couple of crosses went in that 6-yard box, and we don't attack that near post. But I think you're picking holes a little bit there in Freddie. I thought he had a decent game. It wasn't just.
Good yesterday. Yeah, I like.
Yeah, I think it was some of the other players around him who didn't sort of perform to what we expect them.
Yeah, he had a couple of chances. He come deep. He looked hungry. That was one.
He was my man of the match.
Yeah, me too. Probably that was one plus point out yesterday. I think this is why I feel like we probably go back and look at Bond. Someone who doesn't need to gel with this team. Someone who knows the manager, knows surplus to requirements at QPR, I believe. I feel like that's going to be one of the signings, because I just don't see who's going to come in and power our promotion trip from League One or bottom championship.
Well, it could well end up being a young man from the Premier League, a young lone player to replace a Tyrese Jules. Yeah,
he ain't surprisingly, he's still not gone back there, has he? To picture someone on loan.
But that's what I think it will be. It'll be a young player and a more experienced player, maybe a Bond, maybe an Austin, someone like that who. Yeah. I want to say the Chris Wood role, but somebody who maybe has been injured, returning back to fitness, needs that game time, or hasn't settled at a club they signed in the summer, that type of thing. And then it'll be the 4 of them with Hadmi. I still think he'll go out on loan. And we were calling out for a second striker yesterday, and I thought on the 70-minute mark, but he waited 11 more minutes before he did it. And because you're saying there, Rich, about Ladapo not getting across it's really difficult for Fred, because normally he starts the move. It hits him in the chest.
It's a real hard role that he plays. I think it's a really difficult role that he plays. I think he does it quite well, but then he can't be everywhere, can he?
Like even Murph had a foil, in Sears or McGoldrick or somebody. He can't start the move and then also get himself to the back post and then make a move across the front. He is only a man. He's not magical. He can't be in several places at once. He's a striker, Rich, that arrived from Rotherham with the tag, he can't play up front on his own. But yesterday, he bullied Mawson and co. I felt he had them where he wanted them. It was just a matter of time, and in the end, he slipped.
He was unlucky with that one right at the end there, wasn't he? I thought it was in. I thought that was in over to keeper. Just
yeah. It's a good save, actually.
Get his hand up, didn't he? But that was really, if you look at it, though, that's probably the only save their goalkeepers had to make.
Yeah.
Of any difficulty, Martin, all game. He had the one from Chaplin in the first half, which was like a back pass. But other than that, we don't work goalkeepers enough, do we?
No. This is
we don't shoot, as someone said earlier in the chat. We don't shoot.
What makes it worse is McKenna said they were playing a front 4 yesterday. That makes it even worse in my book. You're just not getting again that ratio of creation to shots on target, turning them into goals. It's just so low with us right now, and I know we're second, right? I mean, this is like, it's like paradise syndrome. This, we're second. Oh. But I feel like we aren't the average League One side. Everybody else in that division would kill for our resources. We really should be top. Really should be.
Well, what's up at Christmas comes down in the new year. You must remember that. So, it is only a temporary thing for Plymouth. They will come down in the new year.
Is it? I mean, they're all pretty much, is he Russell them all season, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see.
That's a team that team is punching above its resources. I feel like we're punching below, and they're still ahead of us by 2 points.
Well, what about Sheffield Wednesday then? Their resources, they've got pretty decent resources, and
they're
struggling.
I don't know 100% what their wage bill is, but it doesn't match ours.
They're struggling. They took 3 points from the last 9 available, so they're having the same troubles. It's not as easy as you think. That we have no divine right to go out there and beat any of these teams, and they know now. They know how we play, don't they? It's nothing out of the ordinary how Ipswich Town play, because it's the same every single game, isn't it? And if you get a goal ahead, like they did yesterday, Matt, like I said before, you know what an Ainsworth team's like. They've got all the shithousery. They know what they're doing. Kicking the ball away, wasting a little bit of time. They go, what happened to the rule? Phil Blundell's in the chat. What happened to the rule of the goalkeeper when he has it in his hands?
6
how
seconds.
the fuck long is he allowed to hold the ball?
Yeah,
because that rule doesn't count anymore. That's gone. And you look at that game yesterday. Some of these games we had this season. Look at the amount of injury time, guys. We've had added on some of them games. How was it only 5 minutes yesterday? I'll come back to this again, Matt. You need an independent adjudicator with the clock.
And I'd agree. Lewis Robertson, name one team that's outplayed us this season, Matt. I can think of Plymouth for the last 30 minutes and Bolton for opening 30 minutes. But bar that, you can't call us average.
Well, it doesn't matter if, I don't really agree with that. It doesn't matter if we're being outplayed or not. The fact remains that teams scored quite easily against us. We had 70% possession yesterday. I would say that's outplaying sides. Still lost the game 1-0. I think McKenna takes great satisfaction in seeing his game plan play out in front of him, just as much as the result. Because he will say, there's lots of great positives, etc., etc. They executed the game plan. But we lost 1-0. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like he's got to be a little bit more fluid in his approach. I still feel like we just keep saying it. We could still be there now trying to score, which suggests to me that we've got to change our approach up to become a little bit more direct. Maybe they did try that for Hadme. He's not really good enough to wear an Ipswich shirt, in my opinion. And it doesn't work. So you do need those options there, but he needs to change it up a little bit more, because we can outplay teams, we can outpossession teams, we can outpass teams. Unfortunately, we can't outscore teams. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
But we are joint top scorers in the league.
I do find that baffling, right? Because we've had all the Depot stuff. We've got no John Jules. The Depot's not good enough. Blah blah blah. Admin shit. Yet we still are the scorers. I mean, that's how much we're leaning on your Connor Chaplins and those around him. Harness.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just feel depth-wise, the first 11 is great. It's the second 5 coming on, not always game changers. Yeah, Edwards is a young player. He's the epitome of that roller coaster I talk about, where 1 week he can turn up and be absolutely shit hot, and the next week he turns up and you lose the hot bit of it because it's not good. And you're never quite sure which Edwards is coming off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luco's not got the stats for me, goals and assists. And you could say we've not missed him if you say we're top goal scorers in the league, Rich. We've hardly struggled to create from the pre-assist king.
Yeah, going back to Edwards, he's a funny one for me, because he's obviously played at a high level, Matt. He played at West Brom, so he's got talent. He needs to do more for me. He needs to have more of an effect. When he came on, how long was he on for yesterday, Martin? 25 minutes?
About 20, 25.
You're making your subs there to change the game. Give us something a little bit extra. And it's all right doing it for 10 minutes, but you have to do more than that. And this is why probably with him, he plays 20 minutes here, half an hour here, and he's not a starter, because he's inconsistent.
Yeah.
That's what he is. But
inconsistent with his impacts, you're right.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Cambridge game, you saw the best
John Jules for me, he's been a really big miss, I think.
Yeah,
I think when you look back at what he's done, he can play in more than one position for me as well. And at the minute, you're a little bit Ladapo up the centre, Martin, or who else do you play up the middle? Well, it showed last week that he ain't got a lot of faith in the Hadme, because he played Caden Jackson down the centre last week against Peterborough. Now, you've signed a big lad from Burton who he did impress when we played down there, because me and Colin said, yeah, look at this lad. He could be decent for us, but he ain't shown enough. But giving him 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there, is that really fair to make a judgment call on?
Yeah, Matt Stanos says
really?
it.
You know, it is a little bit harsh.
Yeah, but he didn't pull up any trees against Buxton either, did he? Bundled the ball in over the line from about a yard.
But then you could say, you know, you had Joe Pigott last year where he wasn't getting game time. Was that a manager not wanting to play him because he didn't fancy him? This year, you could say the same about Hadme. You know, yesterday, you could have put him on earlier.
What does a Hadme bring you? When you bring him off the bench? Well, for me,
he fouled the Wycombe bloke for that. You know, that's all he did.
Get the ball forward quicker then. Tapping it around to his feet and him laying it off does not really look like his game for me. You got to get it, either go more direct or get it wide and get crosses in the box for him. Is it that?
I agree.
Which is what Pigott never got last season. He's just a replacement for Pigott, isn't he? He must bring Pigott back. Couldn't do any worse.
Yeah, there's no recall, I don't think. Does Barnsley worry you, Rich? I mentioned at the start of the show.
They're on fire. They've won 5 from 5, haven't they? And you think 2 games in hand, what would they go? 3 points behind us?
3 points, yeah. Make it a 4-horse race for sure.
Yeah, but I'd rather have points on the board. And can they keep that form going? What are they going to add? He's a good manager, though, isn't he? You know, Michael Duff. He done well at Cheltenham. You know, he's done well there because he only came in sort of just before the season started. So
I said there'd be a team.
Newsflash: another team that scored 90th minute goal against us. Wasn't it 2-2? All right, thinking that.
But we should have won that game. Harness was
should have, would have, could have. We should have got up this season. We didn't.
If my granddad will should be a bike. Yeah, that old one. I do know. Lewis says he should bring a physical presence, but agree we have to be more direct if he's playing. It's always like when Burgess went up front, Rich, and we decided to stop playing it long and just start playing 2 times.
We'll still play to feet, even though we've put Cameron Burgess, who's 6'6", and we've put him up there for a reason. No, we'll play it short, lads. We won't put the ball in the box. It does seem a little bit like that to me, that you've got a big lad there. Surely you use him. You have to use him. But I'll probably agree with you, Martin. Put him on a little bit early. Give him a bit more of a chance. If you're 1-0 down, 10 minutes, you're just rolling the dice, hoping something's going to happen, aren't you?
Well, you're hoping it's like you're only going to Solskjaer Champions League final where it just falls to him nicely and he can toe poke it in. You know, it's really unfair a player, any player, to give him anything less than.
So if he's replaced, they haven't done so all for 70, 80 minutes, or whatever. Now you come on and give us perfection for 10.
In literal seconds, you know, you've got to hit the ground running, get the flow of the game.
At the end of January, the last knock-ins, like Carl says there in the chat about Hadme, it's a desperation sign. We can't do that in January. You know, we've got to. As soon as the 1st of January comes, there should be a couple of signings damn near in the door because we need him.
He's McKenna's Ollie Hawkins. He's not good enough for Town. He's not good. He's good enough for Burn. He's not good enough for Ipswich. No. Don't start comparing Ipswich to Burn.
And he's ex-Norwich. That's how it starts coming out. He's ex-Norwich as well.
If you had the choice of 2 strikers, you got Hadme in his hand, Pigott in the other. You'd choose Pigott, wouldn't you? But we loaned him out.
I'd just walk away from you.
At least he's got pedigree. He's got 25 goals in one season. What's the most that Hadme's ever scored in one season? Couple.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people waiting. So I can't get all 6 on. I can't get all 6 on. So if you can come back tomorrow, I will get in contact with you. I've got your names written down here. If your name drops out in the next 5 minutes, I will get in contact and you can start tomorrow's show. But I can't get all 6 of you on. That is a hell. I mean, I lost to Wycombe. That's a hell of a number. That's like back to Lambert days where we've got. Wow.
How many can we get on the screen at once? How many can you get on the screen at once, Martin?
7. We've got 7 now. One more just joined the party. Wow. Okay. Right. Well, and I will just say, we're all calling for that long ball. The trailer to our channel has got Mark Ashton saying, we all know Kieran McKenna's philosophy. He's not going to lump it. He's not going to hoof it. You know, so
there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
No, but he is what he is.
Up a bit.
Anyway, talking about lump it, has anybody seen the Melbourne derby? Have you seen the?
Oh Christ!
When the goalie gets hit by the dustbin.
That's the reason to go down. Believe me,
he didn't go down. He didn't go down. Stays on his feet, didn't he?
Would you go down? I'll be out of there, mate.
He was a little bit naughty if you watch it because he does lob the flare straight back in the crowd.
I'm not quite sure he deserved the garbage.
Face, have you not seen it? Oh, you've got to look at the footage. Melbourne derby, abandoned, referee abandons it.
It'll be on It'll be on tomorrow night's show. Monday funnies.
Well,
It's not funny. It's not funny, but
I think that the bin is one of them flare. You know them flare ones that had the sand in to put like the fireworks out. I think it's one of them, and he just gets it clonked around the head by a supporter.
Trevor is displaying our latest merchandise. Poundland strikers, Waitrose left back.
Yeah, good.
Said that for the last 6 weeks, I think. He's spot on the money. Right, let's bring in Phil Blundell. Phil, welcome in.
Hi, Phil.
Hi.
Rocking the same top again. It's got the same top on.
I'm wrapping up warm because I've got a bit of a chest infection.
All right. Take it easy, mate.
Take it easy.
Yeah,
say what you come to say, and then you can go and listen to what Richard and Matt have got to say back to it.
No one's mentioned the fact that we're not top.
Because we're not top.
No, we would have gone top if we'd won the game yesterday. How fucking pissed off I was yesterday, I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, I agree. We should be with this team should be top.
Yeah, but I'd be a millionaire if a lottery numbers come up every week, mate. They don't, do they? There's shoulda, woulda, coulda, big ifs.
We've got the resources to finish top.
But we're not.
We struggled yesterday because of the amount of injuries we've got at the front and back. Is that the first time we've played forward at the back this season?
No, we've been playing forward at the back the last 2 or 3 months.
For most of the year.
Right. I must have missed that then.
Wake up, Phil. Where you been?
Yeah.
Phil, what did you make of yesterday's game before I bring in...
Shit! Utter frustration.
Yeah.
We conceded a goal, right? And after half time, I was expecting us to go forward. And we went back. We went side to side and back. Side to side, back. Lobbed the ball. It came back. Side to side and then back again to the goalkeeper. We're supposed to be going fucking forward. Forward.
You sound like a bloke I used to sit near. That's what I used to shout was, forward!
I'll tell you what, Gav, you've got to see the guy who sits behind me. He does not let up the whole game. He's laving into the referee, laving into the players. He just doesn't shut up. And I tell you, the guy in front of me, he told him to shut up. His son came down, threatened to absolutely lump him one if he didn't shut up.
Oh, God.
Which was funny.
Where do you sit?
Where'd you sit?
I sit in the Sorrel Flower like Colin does, right at the back on Road W.
Oh, right, okay.
Just right of the goal, which is obviously close to the away end.
Yeah. I didn't know they was that lively in that stand. I thought it was the flask.
No, they're not. They're really not. But this guy sitting behind me, he goes for it. He just doesn't shut up. You have to see it, man. I have to see it.
Filming for the show. Ask if you filming for the show. We'll play it on it.
No, don't do that. Right, Phil, look after your chest. Get some antibiotics.
I just want to say, right, it's my birthday on Friday, and it's a landmark birthday that I'm celebrating. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also looking forward to the Oxford game Boxing Day, and I hope we win. But we are suffering with injuries at the moment, big time. We are. Don't laugh.
No, we are. But you can't keep blaming the injuries. As Trevor says, not the injuries excuse. Again, it's too...
Why not? Look, we missed Tyrese. We certainly missed Harness yesterday. And Burgess, he zigged when he should have zagged against, Hanlon who scored the goal. If he just stood his ground, if he didn't move, he wouldn't have got through to score the goal.
A lot of people are aging you between 50 and 80 here, Phil.
It's the fuzz. It's the facial fuzz that's doing it. I wish I was 30 again. I'll tell you that.
Do you like having a birthday close to Christmas? Or
no, I don't. Growing up as a child, fucking once a year is not fucking fun. 23rd of December. 23rd of December. I've got 2 older sisters. I'm telling you. They used to get away with just getting me one thing for fucking Christmas. Say fuck off. No, it's fucking double the money, man.
Phil's got no chill. Phil's in
not right now. No, I was. It hurt deep yesterday.
Can tell.
Am I worried about Barnsley?
Should be.
Sort of.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah. Anyone for Jordan Rhodes next month?
Another ex-Norwich.
If that's the answer, the dashboard needs
to
be chucked in the bin. It's Windows 95. Let's be honest. But
look,
right, Phil.
Fast, isn't it? We've got Portsmouth, then it's Oxford, Portsmouth, Lincoln. I mean, those 3 games could tell a big story. The table could look a whole lot different.
We need to not lose against Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth coming up. Those are 2 absolutely not must not lose games.
Are they in the first 2 months of the new year? They
January, February. Yeah,
absolutely. I totally agree.
Right, Phil, we'll speak again very soon. Rest that chest. Look after yourself. Absolutely love hearing from Phil. Never a chill, just either 0 or 100. Like, rah, love it. Right. It's been the Fisherman. Fisherman, how are you feeling this fine winter's afternoon?
I thought you were going to be at the banks there, Mike, with your hood up.
My leg's got a lid on it. It's been solid. And I've had a bit of a disaster, to be honest. I've got a stock pond, and because obviously it's been quite low in water with what happened this year, I've lost a few fish in there, so I'm a little bit gutted about that. But it's what it is. That's what happens when you run a fishery. You have to deal with the consequences sometimes. Yeah. Hopefully, with this mild weather we got coming in today and tomorrow, and that the lid will be defrosted, and I can stick the paddle on and thrash your water about and put some well needed oxygen in the lake, as they say.
Were you gutted by yesterday then? You gutted about the fishing? You gutted by yesterday?
Do you know what? I was last night I was thinking about it, and Martin was winding me up a bit yesterday, a little bit.
Surprising,
like he always does. But I kind of figured. I thought, he can't be serious what he's saying. So I thought, right, okay. Anyway, I watched I was able to get the stream quite early, so I was about 15 minutes early, and it was Wycombe commentators, and they made some very interesting points about us. They were saying, every one of them said, look, I really fancy a Wycombe win today. Ipswich are, they're carrying it, like Phil said, carrying a few injuries, but we're a little bit predictable with our football. Yeah. And they turned around and said, and we just, what's the word? Lacking a bit of firepower. And they just felt that Ipswich were there for the taking. Now that really worried me, because our home form hasn't been great, and look, we're second. I get that, and and if someone said to me, "Would you take second and 45 points this part of the time of the season?" I said, "Yeah, we're not halfway yet, so we can beat Oxford on Boxing Day. Do we get 48 points, and that's a good return, really. You can't argue that." My worry is our form in the last 6-7 games. It hasn't been great. No. We haven't played well. I know you say, Rich, that we controlled the game, but we didn't. I thought Wycombe controlled the game because they didn't allow us to break them down. They controlled what we did, because what we did was nothing. In that second half, we offered nothing. We had 1 or 2 little shots here and there. It was some strange substitutions. Why Keogh started and then Edmondson brought on? That was a really.
Edmondson hasn't been fit, Mike. Edmondson hasn't been fit. Edmondson weren't fit last week.
No, I'm not having that. If you're on the bench, you're fit.
He had to go on the bench because there's no other centre backs. There's no other centre backs available.
I'm sorry. If you're on the bench, you're fit. That's the bottom line. If you're not fit, you don't go on the bench.
You punched out 45 minutes, didn't you?
Look, Keogh and Edmondson, both did okay when they played. Burgess had probably a moment of poor quality, which is unusual for Burgess. Humphreys had to be stronger. I'm not having it. That Lee Evans comes straight in. I'm not having that.
He does.
Of course he does. Humphreys
is one of our best players this season, Mike. Lee Evans.
No, I don't care how good he is. Humphreys has really stepped up. And even Morsey did an interview and praised Humphreys. You don't just drop her just because he's a young lad, or he might be a little lightweight. His quality with the ball is far better than Evans.
That's not.
I'm sorry, but it is, Rich.
No, it's
okay,
Lee Evans
is a bit more experience.
Lee Evans is one of our better players. He's got a lot more experience than Cameron Humphreys, and I know who I want to rely on for the rest of the season.
Experience doesn't mean anything. If you can't pass the ball or work hard, what did he do when he came on yesterday? I didn't think Evans looked at all great.
Yeah, I agree with Mike on Evans. He didn't look great, but he's back in the first time, wasn't he?
No, but the only way you're going to say Humphreys has got more about him with the ball than Evans is if you're talking about the comedian Lee Evans. Because the footballer Lee Evans, the one who plays for Ipswich Town, is much better at this point of his career with the football than Cameron Humphreys. Much better.
I don't agree. Don't agree. I think Humphreys sees a pass that Evans doesn't, and that's why he's.
Have you got stats to back that up?
Oh, so you're saying Morsey, our captain, who rates
Fucking love
at
stats.
Humphreys. Now, hang on. Wolsey, our captain, rates Humphreys, and
We all rate him, Mike. We all rate him, but at this
the way you
stage,
talk about the way you talk about him, you know, I know he's a young lad, but how do you think? What if you watched this show and heard things like that? I'm a young lad.
they
That
don't
would
listen
wind
to
me
stuff
up.
like
I'd wind me
this.
up as
They
a
just shut the
parent.
noise out. They ain't going to listen to me. They ain't going to listen to you. They listen to what?
Well, no, but
They're not good at. They're not listening to what I say. Don't worry about that.
No,
They listen
but
to me.
They probably do. Look, for me, there's been a few players in that team. How Jackson gets a game, I don't understand that one.
If you had 10 minutes for Jackson on the sweepstake, congratulations, you've just won.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know how he gets started. We give Hadamy crap for not playing well. Well, Jackson, the game yesterday proved he should be in League Two. Get rid of him. I'd get rid of him, and I really would get rid of him. Honestly, I'd rather have Joe Bigger than him. But
That's harsh.
I tell you who I feel probably had his worst game I've seen him play for a while, and that was Burns yesterday. I didn't think he was very good at all.
Crossing was bad, wasn't it?
I love Burns. I think but since he's come back from Wales, he's not been the same player. I don't know whether he's not getting the ball enough, or I thought Leif Davis wasn't great yesterday. Our goal we conceded, that was just embarrassing. Jackson's header back. What are you doing headering back into a dangerous?
It was Ladapo actually,
like
Mike.
that.
It was Ladapo headed it back.
Was it Ladapo? Was it?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I watched the
Yeah.
replay and it looks like Jackson.
I see it this morning.
Okay, fair point. All right, stay.
I would just say it's a header back, and there's the whole team behind the ball.
You don't header backwards. If you can, you back flick it forward so you don't put yourself in danger. You always concede. Most goals are conceded when you lose it in your own half anyway. And look, Cam, yeah, he's got to take a yellow card there. He's got to bring that player down.
100%.
Yeah. That's the bottom line. And people say he's too lightweight and all this lot. He made a bad decision. He made a wrong decision. He's been a consistent 7.5, and yesterday he had a 6. Should have brought the player down. I agree. Burgess should have blocked that shot. Walton, what was he doing? He was on the floor before the ball was even kicked, wasn't he?
I think we've
the keeper. Look, Walton for me has been shaky for the last few games. I'm concerned.
Would you drop him?
No.
Fair
But
enough.
he's got to improve. We haven't got better on the bench. Ladkey for me isn't as good as Walton, but Walton is a bit shaky at the moment. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's the pressure of being where we are in the league. People talk about Plymouth and they won't be there at the end of the season. We've spent double what Plymouth have. We've got a squad double. We've got a squad value double what Plymouth have got, and yet they're top. And they're more consistent. Barnsley is the one that's worrying me right now because they've only lost one in 7 games. They've won 6, lost 1. They're on form right now. Sheffield Wednesday, we're always going to have a bit of a blip. We're again, people saying it was a blip a few weeks ago. It's a blip that's going on a little bit too worry. Our home form is starting to come into our away form, and the way that we play away from home. Yesterday reminded of us watching Ipswich at home, struggling to break teams down. And Wycombe could totally controlled the way we played yesterday. They knew we were going to sit there. They knew we were going to sit there and pass the ball around, and it was sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards. And Matt's right. Where's the mixing it up? Sometimes you've got to mix it up. You're in League One. You're going to get teams play long ball. You're going to get teams that rough up. You're going to get teams like Wycombe, which isn't particularly great football. But they're them teams. They're the teams you should be beating. If you want to get promotion out of this league, an automatic promotion out of the league, you got to beat them. I didn't agree with Chaplin coming off. I didn't know what he'd done wrong. I'd have took Burns off. I'd put Edwards on the right instead of on the left for Burns. It was just strange.
Can I ask you, Mike, before I bring somebody else in? I've got a question from the chat. I want to put it to you. What 3 positions would you strengthen in January? That's specifically to you. What 3 positions would you strengthen in January?
Oh,
don't think too hard.
Look. People say, look, I know Bonds mentioned a lot. Would I take him on a 6-month loan deal? Yes, I would, because I think he could offer something.
That's how bad things have got. In the summer,
No,
you would have,
no,
you'd have
Would
jumped
I-
for the
no, I
screen and
wouldn't
ripped
look.
me apart.
Yeah, but you say that, right? The start of last season when he was banging in goals, people are like, we'll give him £2 million, £3 million for Bond. And because he had a bit of a dry spell under McKenna, people say, I'll bid him off, whatever. I do wonder.
You
whether
all
he
said
goes
bid him
to-
off in the summer.
Sahara Desert. He got 1 goal in 30 games.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but you know, at the end of the day is he does offer something. He offers probably more than Jackson does. Do you know what I mean?
Can't
If he
be,
could
that,
find
that
that
can't
form.
be your level, can it? That
Well,
can't.
we
No,
said
be
I'm
your-
not saying. Listen, hang on. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Look, you know, John Jules
Okay.
is injured. I agree with what Rich said. I do think we missed John Jules. I think he offers something. He certainly can score. You know, he can.
Different
You know,
type
he can
of
put the
player,
ball in the
Mike.
back
I
of the
think
net.
John Jules is a different type of player. Like I said, he can play in more than one position. And I didn't think we'd miss him as much as we have, coming off the bench or starting. I think he's been really good for us. We need to sign someone. I agree with you, Martin. I think you might sign a sort of younger player in that mould. I would have thought to John Jules. Yeah. Depends who's out there.
I think we need to sign at least 2 forward striker.
I've got a question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Scott Twine went to Burnley, hardly playing.
Oh, absolutely.
Injuries.
Would you put in a cheeky little bid? Say, ring up Vincent Company and say, can we have him for 6 months?
Why wouldn't you? Can we
I think
loan him? Look, he's not playing for you right now. Could we have him for 6 months?
He was on the bench
no
yesterday.
disrespect, right? But Lee Evans and
Right, yeah.
Lee Evans, you know, Humphreys, and that would all get dropped out. I mean, Scott Twine's class. You'd be mad not to take him. If you could get him, it's not an impossibility. If he's not playing for Burnley, then sign him. Get him on loan. I would loan Bond if it would only be a loan. I'd you know, just to give us a bit of strength and depth. Would I look? We need to go out and spend £1.5-2 million on a decent striker because we don't have enough firepower. Again, like I said, you know, Chaplin. That decision to take him off yesterday, I didn't think boded well for me. Chaplin's been playing well of late. He's scoring goals. You just don't take a player like him off if he's on form.
All right, Mike. We appreciate you dropping by as always. It's an informative,
Where
fun
would you
20 minutes.
Rich?
I'll probably sign 2 strikers.
Yeah. Where else?
I think I'd replace John Jules because I can't. How long was he out for, Martin? Did they say 3 months?
I think so.
That's going to take you to March time, you know. So I wouldn't be hanging on for that long. I'd sign 2 strikers. Maybe a winger. Maybe a winger, you know. But Burns needs a little bit of pressure put on him, I think, Mike, because I think it's a little bit too comfortable at the minute. His position that I'm not saying drop Wes Burns, but I think sometimes you need
to play that role.
Mix up a bit. Give him some competition.
No.
Do you not think KVY is better going forward than he is defensive?
Yeah, but he's not a winger, is he? He's not an attacking winger. He's not
really.
No, he's a fullback who can get forward and be a menace. He's not.
But he's not a fullback. That's the problem. He's not. For me, he's not a fullback. He doesn't defend that well. He's a bit headless when that's
modern day
that
fullback
side
for
of
me.
it. But I'm asking the question. I'm not saying it's the answer. What I'm saying is would play one Danassian's back fit? Would you put KVY in that forward role with Danassian?
No, I'd drop Danassian.
My days.
I like winding Mike up. It's so easy. There's so many different things. Just wind him up. I love you, Mike. I appreciate you dropping by. I've written down a fee here. I would spend between 3 to 5 million on Johnson Clark Harris, and I wouldn't even blink twice. What says you two?
Well, yeah, we mentioned that last week. Well, we did mention Twine last week, didn't we? But Martin wasn't having it, Rich, because he said, I don't want to be a rehab club.
I think you have Johnson Clark Harris yesterday, and he wouldn't score. I don't think he'd score yesterday. Sometimes.
But I prefer him than had me off the bench.
yeah.
Or reverse it. I prefer the Dapo coming off the bench than had me, you know, partnering up with JCC. But that for me, people would say, 5 million is too much for us. 5 million to get us out of this division and then score 12 goals or more next year. That's a bargain for me. Absolute bargain for 27, 28-year-old Johnson Clark Harris.
I do get what Mike was saying about Humphreys. Just going back to that quickly. But I feel like Humphreys has had far more game time than what McKenna wanted to give him. Maybe he's just catching up with him a little bit.
He's had his hands tied though, because we ain't got
He's
Don
had
Ball,
to do it.
we've not had Lee Evans, we've not had Kamara.
Yeah.
So
He's had to do it. He's
he's
had to do it.
play. Look, he's done well. He's done well. I'm not saying he hasn't done well, Cameron.
Very well. He's really good.
Lee Evans and Morsey, I think they're your partnership. Like I said on Friday, I think, guys, that they played over 100 games at Wigan together. They know each other's games inside out. And I think you need Humphreys will be in and around the squad. You know, he'll be on the bench. He might come in now and again. But I think you need that little bit of experience, that little bit of know-how in these big games, because the pressure's only going to be ramped up after Christmas. You know, if we think now that the pressure's on, we've got a lot more pressure to come on us, and we have to handle that, guys. We have to handle that when it comes to the business end of the season, because we're sitting in a good position at the minute, right? But when it comes to March, April, and you're playing these games and you're going away to a team and you're 1-0 down at half time, then you're looking at the other scores and Plymouth are winning, Sheffield Wednesday winning, Barnsley might be up there. I know the players will say, oh yeah, we don't look at the outside, we don't look at what's going on. Rubbish. Don't agree with that. They've got to have broad shoulders and they've got to be able to handle it in them games. Like I said to you on the phone yesterday, Matt, that was a game when teams who win leagues and get promoted, when they haven't played well, they'll nick a goal near the end and they'll take a draw and you move on to the next game.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, I sat there watching it and you probably sat there watching it at home, and I never thought we were going to score second half.
No, exactly. That's what we said at the top of the show, isn't it? We haven't got that kind of 89th, 90th minute, pull one out from nowhere vibe. I don't have much confidence in the team off the back of yesterday.
Was there in the chat there, Matt? He's right. What he says, we need leaders in this league, and we do. They've all got to step up. You can't just be your captain. Someone has to do something. Yesterday, grab hold of that game, take it by the scruff of the neck, and say, right, I'm going to be the guy who makes an assist or scores a goal, you know, and gets us a point here. But nobody seemed to want to do it yesterday.
No. It's that mentality, isn't it, that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. You want to go and buy a mentality, which, you know, someone like JC I believe he has. Another name I would consider watching out for in the window is Jay Matete at Sunderland. 7 games, 1 start, had a not the greatest of seasons so far for various different reasons. He is a combative midfielder. Could he be a replacement for Ball for 6 months for a loan period?
Like it, yeah. Good
it's a name I'd consider. It's a name I'd look out for, because I don't think he's, you know, doing well at Sunderland. So 7 games, 1 start is not exactly
it's going to be those kind of players, isn't it? People on the periphery, I think. But again, as we said last week, Martin, will they come in with any form to us? Because you've got to hit the ground running.
We don't need players who are going to take 6 weeks to 8 weeks to get up to speed. We need people to come in, like you say, straight away in January, Martin. Straight in the team. You're playing.
Yeah.
Well, you see, someone like Matete would be an understudy to Morsey and Evans with Humphreys. You know, that would be my 4 for the back end of the campaign. And that's a good 4. You know, you can play 20 minutes here, half hour, maybe a game when you're up to speed. Yeah, that for me would be a good 4 because it alleviates the pressure on Humphreys. It adds a bit of competition. It adds some security if Evans or Morsey, both one of is suffering.
As you said yesterday, Rich, Morsey's only 2 bookings away from a suspension.
That would be
a huge mess when that does happen.
You look at the games you got coming up. He could be missing against Plymouth or Sheffield Wednesday. You know, so big shoes to fill if he's out of the team.
Yeah, because then suddenly you've lost the heartbeat, haven't you? And Evans isn't good enough to replicate what Morsey does.
No. Lewis, we need to find out what Kamara is at. Where Kamara is at, sorry, concerningly quiet.
I think he'll have another groin operation. I've just got a funny feeling that they haven't got that right. They've gone in there and done that operation, and he's still having trouble with it. I think, like you said on Friday, Matt, I don't think you'll probably see the best of him till next season.
No, he's a long-term signing now, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's good. I think he'll be a good player, but not what we need now.
That would really put the back end of the window under that microscope for me, because you've got a player who, you know, no one can account for injuries, but he's been injured for the whole campaign. And you've got Hadmi, who's been injured, but he's also never looked like he could offer anything when he's had the minutes.
2 questionable signings then. One that's not available and one that hasn't got any past pedigree to come to wear an Ipswich Town shirt.
Yeah, we really seem to not do what we normally do at the back end of that window. We know normally so good. Every move pays off, but that's football. Not everything will come off in life. I've got 3 people. 2 of you will have to come back tomorrow. In addition to Callie, will come back tomorrow. He's kindly dropped out. Thank you ever so much, Callie. Who can come back tomorrow? If you don't drop out in the next 2 minutes, I will make the decision. Fuck me, how am I going to make that?
Who you got? You'll have to have it. It'll be Colin and it'll be Steve Parry, won't it?
And Jezza.
Oh, Jezza's in there.
Jezza and Colin. I know 3 powerhouses of the community. How do you decide that one? While they decide it for me, because they're upfront brilliant guys, you can become a Talking Town fifth fan today. Hit the join button on YouTube or head to our Ko-Fi site, sign yourself up. $4.99, great value. You get content, you get us beautiful smiling faces, you get Saturday Night Fever on a Friday night, you get all sorts of different entertainment stuff. It's good value, I think. Please do consider supporting the platform.
Big shout out to Ben Moore. He got mentioned on the halftime bit of the game yesterday on the stream by what's the commentator called? Glenn Wheeler. Gave him a shout out, didn't he? It's great to hear. Hope you're doing all right, Ben.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, because I after about half an hour, I turned the commentary off. Can't be doing with it.
Start playing some ambient beats.
Oh, modern day commentators. Sometimes they just let the natural pause play. You haven't got to talk.
He has to be on the audio as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because when he was just doing it as TV commentary on that first game, the Charlton one, I think it was better. But now I think he's really good. He just has that. He's like Sam Matterface, whether you like him or not, is the pinnacle at the moment. He's the modern day. That's the top. This is how we all have to try and conform and just talk through every minute of the game. I don't think you need to, but I don't do the job. So what the fuck do I know about it? Let's be honest. Right, 3. They've not gone. So, we didn't have Beep last week, did we? I don't think Beep turned up last week, did he? Can't remember.
He didn't. Give me a number between 1 and 3 because I've got 1, 2, and 3. 2. Stephen Parry. Boom.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I might be out tomorrow because I've got to go do some Christmas shopping, so I don't know whether I'll be able to make it tomorrow night.
All right.
I apologise to the other 2 who didn't make it. I just want to add a bit of positivity because it seems a bit.
Oh no, we can't be having that.
We don't want that.
We can't be having that today. No, we can't be having that. No, don't come and bring positivity to the fucking platform. You're giving us a bad name, you.
I'm not saying it's all positive because it's not. It was an awful game and we should have won with a better side. There's no doubting about it. Yeah. Once again, our shooting let us down. We know what the problem is. The club will know what the problem is. McKenna will know what the problem is. We're talking about these things as if they don't know what they're doing. Trust me, they will know more than us what the problem is. And they will know more than us the people they want to fix those problems.
What a great comment, Lewis.
Where are you shopping at 8:30 tomorrow, Beep, the petrol station?
Everyone knows Manchester's open until about midnight on Christmas.
Let's get some pot noodles in.
I'm going to Manchester. Everybody knows it's open until about midnight.
Is it?
Yeah. It's like top and bottom of it. They'll know the players we want to bring in. And we'll mention Johnson, Clark, Harris's and people like that. All the names we know. But they will have names like Leif Davis. No one had heard him. They'd seen a meme of Bielsa. That's all they know of Leif Davis before he came here. Now no one would get rid of him. There may be something like that they've got that they're looking at. A Premier League player who's not going to cut it in the Premier League. There's bloody loads of them, yeah? Or a Championship player whose contract's running out and they'd rather get a few quid than just let him go for nothing. There's plenty of players out there who could improve our side, yeah, that they will know about. As fans, we don't know about them because we don't follow them clubs, so we don't care. And we only care when they come here. I hear people saying bring Elmiz back. I'm sorry, I don't think he's the option. I think if we can sign a centre midfielder, we're better signing a centre midfielder because we loaned him out for a reason. He wasn't good enough to get in this side. If he was good enough to get in this side, he'd be here. So because Ball's out, yeah, then loan someone in who's better than him. It's easily done. I think Rich is right. I think we're missing TJJ. I think we're missing Harness as well. And I think a lot of people have been getting on players' backs. We have to remember we're missing even half a team yesterday. When you look at who was in and who came in walking wounded like Edmondson, it's near enough half a team, and that's not easy because it's not just like something that's been mentioned right at the start, and even last year. It's partnerships. JD had a good partnership with Burns. Take JD out, is Burns as good without JD than with JD? Same with Harness and Davis. They were building up a partnership. Are they as good with somebody else as without? Those partnerships have been built up. You take those players out, it affects other players as well. And that could have an effect. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it could have an effect. So I'm not saying it was a great performance. It wasn't. We did enough to win. Like everything. Sometimes it's the roll of the dice. There was a couple of deflections that went wide. Them deflections could have gone in the net quite easily. They just didn't. We can all go back and say, oh, well, woe is me. Well, yeah, woe is me. But we should be doing more. But it's not all about get Johnson, Clark Harris, will win. That doesn't mean we win. We'll spend 5 million doesn't mean we go up. You can spend $1 million and have more chance of going up than spending 5 million on Johnson, Clark Harris. It's getting the right player. Is Johnson, Clark Harris the right player? I don't know. From what I've seen, no, he's not, because he's very patchy. He gets goals and then he's on he gets no goals. Posh aren't exactly cutting up trees right now. I know the game was off last week, but they've lost 2-3 in a row. So
but he's still the division's top goal scorer. So word that very differently. He's top goal scorer in a team that's absolutely dire.
If you get 4 hat-tricks in 4 games, if you get 4 hat-tricks in 4 games, you've won 4 games. You still
has he got 4 hat-tricks in
I know he's had a brace at least twice. So that's 4 goals in 2 games.
You mean he's scored more than one goal a game?
Yeah, but
that's his value going up in my book, mate.
No,
wow.
Well, that'll win you 2 games out of 22. That's where they are, because he's not doing it on a regular basis. We need someone who can come in and be
a threat. 31 goals in this league 2 seasons ago, Steve, and he scored about a dozen last season in the Championship, and he's got a dozen this season. You're saying you don't want John to Clark?
I never said that. No, I never said that. I said if that's what we need, yeah, fine. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, you can do the same argument with Piggott. He got 25 goals the other year. Stockton got 25 last season. What are they doing now? Even Pompey don't want Piggott. Look on Pompey's website. They want him gone. Fortunately, there's no recall, so we don't have to bring him back. We can keep him there and just piss them off. The top and bottom of it is these players. Some of these. I still say the same with Collins. Everyone's saying, oh, he's ripping up trees. Well, so was Piggott, so was Stockton, and now look at him. One season does not make a summer. I do say with Johnson Clark Harris, I think he's got an attitude problem. And I saw that when we played. Based on what? Half the time he was walking around doing nothing. Waiting for the ball to come.
He can walk for 89 minutes, but if he scores 1 goal, beats Wycombe.
And last season he was dropped at first half of season because he come back like a bloody Oompa-Loompa. I think he's got an attitude problem. I don't
think he'd be club captain if he had an attitude problem, Stephen.
I think they gave him
we don't know that. We've got to stick to things that we know.
I think they gave him that to keep him there. The top and bottom of it is, I think he thought he was going to be the next Ivan Toney after those 31 goal seasons, and he wasn't. Nobody came in for him, or they didn't accept anything for him. Yeah, and I think his nose got put out of joint. I think he thought he would have been Ivan Toney in the Premier League now, and he's not. He's still in League One with Posh, earning $4,000 a week, and I think his nose has been bent at shape.
We could double that.
We could double that. I have no problem in going in. I'm not. No way would I bid 5 for him, because I think you can get someone just as good for a downside less.
That's the point, right? Because he is the closest you're going to get to a surefire bet.
Who the hell?
He's the closest you're going to get.
I tell you what. Who knew of Ivan Toney before he went to Posh? Who knew of Johnson Clark Harris? Who knew about?
Everyone knew about Johnson Clark Harris at Bristol Rovers. Beep. He was scoring goals.
No. Well, why didn't anybody else sign him then? Because they didn't think he was ready. The top and bottom of it is we have to look at it and go, we don't want the ready-made ones, because half the time it's just wasting money. Yeah, it's wonderful to get the ready-made ones. If you can afford it and we've got it, fine. If they're wanting 5 to 10 million, swing trees. He's not worth it. Yeah, I'd rather go and look for someone like Leif Davis we can get for 1.5 million from the Premier League Academy, who's got quality, because he wouldn't be there in the first place if he didn't have quality. Yeah, that can come in here, ruffle feathers, get goals, and you could get that for, what, a quarter of the price. Now, I'm not saying that player's there, yeah, but I'm just saying the management and the club will have a better idea, and the recruitment team will have a better idea than me, because I'm not sat on the stats side of it.
Just rewind, right? Let's rewind to 2000, and who did we sign in 2000 to make that difference? A quality player, Marcus Stewart. So If you're telling me Johnson Clark-Harris is available to sign Stephen, you would go and sign him 100% over somebody you take the punt.
No, I don't.
We need to get out of this league. We need to get out of this league. And if we have to pay a little bit,
I don't. Be fair.
Hang on,
and if you want, you can rewind and listen to it back. Did I say I wouldn't have him? No, I didn't. I said I would have him.
Basically saying he's got an attitude problem. He's had his nose put out of joint.
That's my opinion.
If he's listening to you, he probably won't want to come to town, Stephen.
Well, thank God he probably isn't going to listen to Stephen Barry then.
That's my opinion. And I think a lot of players have attitude problems. Yeah. It doesn't mean they're not good players. Some players have attitude. Like Pogba's got an attitude problem. He's still a bloody good player and I'd have him in an heartbeat. You know, I'm not saying that's his problem. I'm saying his nose were put out of joint. And I think if we went in there with a £2.5 million bid, they might say no, but what would the player say? You know, ruffle him up. Don't go in there with 5 million. Go in there with 2.5 and say, we'll give you 2.5 million for him. I guarantee that player will be sitting there with his agent going, I can double my wages there. And he might kick up a fuss. He might say, I want to go. I'm not playing unless I go. There's no harm if you don't try. Do it now. If you don't, you don't just go in. I don't know any businessman who goes in there and offers top dollar straight away. They go in there with a cheeky bid to see where the land lies. You know, we all know what they're saying. What was it the other day? I was watching comms yesterday with Wycombe. Mehmeti, 7 million. You're having a bubble. I don't give a stuff how good he's played this season. Someone who you bought for 500 million is not going for 7 million in the first season. You're having a bubble. You know what I mean? Right. You wouldn't even get that. You'd be lucky to get that in the Championship. You're not getting it in League One. You know, I think a lot of them are thinking like, well, they can get that in the Championship. Well, you're not in the bloody Championship. You're in League One. Highest ever paid for playing in League One's Will Griggan. We all know how that happened. All I'm saying is, I would take Johnson Clark-Harris if he suits our side. And the only person who decides that is Kieran McKenna.
Yeah, but my confidence is wavering after Hadmi and Kamara. I ain't going to lie.
I don't think Hadmi came here as, you know, the second striker. I think he came here as
what did he come here as then?
A 21-year-old as a project. You know,
we didn't need a project. We needed actually somebody who could contribute with goals.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you've got a project, I'd rather have a project than nothing. If you couldn't get,
You've got nothing.
Oh, I don't think Hurst was the only player we went for. Yeah, unless you know differently, and the club spoke to you and told you, because I know Will Keane was spoke out, and I was told that was pretty close. Yeah. So
that's not an answer either, is it? Really? I mean, you know, we all know the Putman Road grass is not good for Will Keane.
You're saying that's not an answer? He's banging them in a Championship, so he's doing something right.
He couldn't manage more than 46 minutes here. I don't think. I mean, I'm being a bit over the top there with a minute, but we all do know the Putman Road turf was bad for his knees.
Do you want me to do a Richmond and say, well, let's go to last season, let's go to this season? You know, at the end of the day, the guy can score goals. I don't care whether he did it here or not. I don't care whether he's scoring goals. You're talking about getting people who can score goals. That was one that I heard was near enough over the line, and then. Now with Richardson not there, maybe he's, there's players like that we can go back in for. I don't know. I'm just saying, let's not all leap our eggs into this player or this player or this player, because likely it is, it's probably going to be someone we've never heard of, like Leif Davis. And if that's the case, and it turns out the same as Leif Davis, I'll be just as delighted, if not more so.
Oh no! And I said this a couple of weeks ago, Rich. I said on the platform. That's the thing. Unless you go for somebody who's a surefire bet or close as you can get, which is a Johnson Clark-Harris, anybody else is going to be a Marmite signing because it's going to be some will go, like Leif Davis, you didn't hear of him. He's a young player. Give him a chance. And others will say he is not the surefire bet. We need to get out of this division. It's going to be a Marmite signing either way, really. I think, don't you?
I'd put my eggs in the basket of someone who's done it in this division, Martin. If I had to,
me too.
If it was my money, I would go for. Look, I'm not saying they might not sell in Peterborough, but somebody we know can score goals in this division over somebody who might. I
don't disagree with that, Rich. I don't disagree with that, but we did that with Piggott, didn't we? And I said right at the start, I don't think he'd suit this side, and he didn't suit this side, and it didn't work. You can argue, there's lots of players you can argue, if we get Bond, will we get the first 6 months of Bond or the second 6 months of Bond? There's lots of players you can argue would make a difference.
But at the end of the day, it's all down to Mark Ashton. He's paid the big bucks. He's heads the one on the chopping block because come May, we want to get out of this league. So I think it's
something else to consider.
I'll tell you one person. Just want to say one thing. I'll tell you one person we might look at. I know Burr's looking at least one, maybe two new strikers. One of them's the lad you run about from Sunderland. Yeah, I know Celtic's in, but Burr's in for him as well. They're looking.
Ross Stewart.
Yeah.
I said about him the other week, didn't I?
Why, that would push Marcus Force down the list. Get on your phone to your mate. Carrick's his mate. Get on your phone to your mate and say, I tell you what, can we loan Force for the rest of the season? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he's pushed down, if they get all the strikers in and it pushes him down the list, he'll be up for a move. And we should be a shoo-in. You know, how many times has, Carrick said, he's got a good relationship with McKenna. We'll start using that relationship then. You know, there's players like that out there, and I wouldn't be averse to a couple of loan signings and a permanent. You know, I'm not saying that, we don't need someone with experience and we don't need someone who can score goals. But it's how the club will look at it. It's how McKenna looks at it. You know, I have no problem. It's not, like I said, it's not my money, and I don't want to be one of those fans that I don't want to be one of them like United fans. Well, I'll just go and buy him. It's only 80 million. Yeah, well, if it was my 80 million, I'd be having words. It's not my 80 million, is it? It's some pension funds 80 million.
Yeah,
spend it. It's very easy for fans to spend money, and then as soon as the club goes bankrupt, look at Derby. As soon as the club go bankrupt, they're going like, "What happened there?" Well, we know what bloody happened there. Open your eyes. Stop buying players for $5 million.
That's not going to happen in this situation, though, is it, Pete? Because we've got good investors with a good plan, good resources.
For now.
There's no reason to doubt that. None whatsoever.
No, I'm not saying there is. Right now there isn't. But we all know how football can turn. All it'll take is just crashing the stock market, and suddenly our pension fund is not worth as much as it was.
I disagree with that. What it would take is staying and more time in this fucking division. That was what will do it.
Yeah,
Believe me,
I do think they'll be looking at more targeted tactical signings rather than. I think before this season we may make one marquee signing, an expensive signing, because it'll save it making that next year.
Clark Harris.
But I'm still not convinced with Clark Harris in the Championship. He didn't thrive when he won the Championship. He only got 8 goals.
I've got to move it on. Fair enough. All right.
No, but he only got 8 goals, didn't he? I'm looking for players who can move up. Davis can move up with us. Yeah. Can Clark Harris move up with us and be that player, like the Ross Stewart?
This league. That's what I want to get out of this league to start with.
Then where do we go? I'd rather a player, that will get us up, and progress.
Yeah,
that's where I want to be. Yeah,
right.
They're very hard to come by. They're not easy to find, but I think we've got the infrastructure and we've got the recruitment that can be able to find those gems that we've never been able to find before. Like Leif Davis, and when I keep going back
when you just spend $1.5 million on a left back, that's not really a gem.
Well, it is because nobody.
It's not because he was known. No, he was known. You weren't signing some
three games,
8th left back.
3 games for Leeds and 13 for Bournemouth. It's not exactly known, is it?
Well, it's hardly one game, and we're taking a massive punt for $1.5 million.
No, I'm not saying go for players who's never played. I'm going for these Premier League players who are not going to play for Premier League clubs. Yeah. Who have had a couple of games and the contracts are running out and the clubs are saying, you're not going to fit here. We'll let you go. And they go to the Championship every day. They're the ones we should be going for because they're at Premier League academies for a reason, because they've got the X factor.
I think in certain areas, right, I do agree with Stephen. I do agree with Stephen about like Leif Davis was a good signing. But I think in certain areas on the pitch, Martin, you do need to splash a bit of money and someone who's done it and you know what you're getting. I'm all for signing players and progressing them, but we can't do that in every single situation. And this situation in January, whoever comes in, we're expecting them to hit the ground running, Matt, and whoever this striker is to score goals. Now, if it's a Johnson Clark Harris, he's done that. He can take that pressure on his shoulders. If it's a young lad, it's massive expectation, whoever we bring in.
There's one thing I'd give for Clark Harris. I think he'd score more goals in this team than he would in Posh's team. Because he'd have more opportunities. If the deal's there to be done, I'd do it. But I wouldn't be going spending silly money on him. Because you've also got to think of sell-ons. If you have a 3-year deal, he's 28, he'll be 31. How much are you going to get back off that? And we know Mark Ashton's big on player trading. So he's not going to be going buying just to get out of the league to buy a player that will end up with you'd lose $9 million on him.
depends how far he took you. But I appreciate the point. Steve, look after yourself. Have a great time at petrol station.
I agree with Matt's comment about getting the right character in. I do get that. You need the right character, but then sometimes you do need someone who's maybe a bit of a maverick. Who's
of course you do.
Look, it's getting someone in who can do that job and score them goals because, like you said, Martin, left back's not going to get you promoted. No matter how good he is, Leif Davis, and he's been an excellent signing, he ain't the difference between a playoff place and being top 2, is he, Matt?
No, I can see what Steve was saying there. I mean, I would say Aaron Criswell fits the mould of that gem. Someone who was at Tranmere under the radar. We got him in on a tribunal, didn't we? Did Steve So Steve was up for Johnson Clark Harris if available.
He just didn't want to spend silly money.
He didn't want to spend loads of money on him. That's the
now's
issue.
the time.
You're going to be paying over the odds, aren't you? But like you said, mine, what price promotion? If you're going to get 9 million to get promoted back into the Championship,
it's their own fault in a way because we didn't do it in August. And
that's what I was saying at the start of the show.
Yeah, that's when we should have probably been signing these players then. But look, Ladapo's been a decent signing. John Jules was a good signing. Yeah. It's just now that you need that little bit of extra quality now to get you over the line. Fisherman was saying about Aaron Collins there, 11 goals, 7 assists. He's a good player at Bristol Rovers. He might be someone to have a little look at.
Can he do it with the pressure? Can he do it in the Championship if we get there?
No, it's a journey into the unknown, that's
that Marmite I was talking about.
It's the risk you take.
But with the SCMP and the FFP differences, so in League One you have SMP, Salary Cap Management Protocol. In Championship you have FFP. Now's the time to really spend the money if you're going to spend it, because there's different rules to how you have to provide that finance. Owners can put a cash injection in, whereas Championship is a bit different. So if you are going to spend the money, if you have got the plans to spend money once you get there, now is maybe that. And you saw a little bit of that with Chaplin arriving and Morsey arriving, the players that were stepping down from the Championship who can go back there and perform again. It's now the time. And something's, for me, from the outside looking in, happening at Peterborough, whether it be a natural evolutionary change, with their forms dropping off, might be a managerial change. Turnover of players. I really think Peterborough, Matt, fancy themselves as somebody who can easily replace a Clark Harris with their ability in the transfer market.
Good history. I would just Barry Fry, isn't it? Barry's always had the eye. See, we should have got Barry in as our recruitment. He's always had an eye for a good player, Barry Fry.
I just wrote down while Stephen was talking, don't overthink it. Just do not enter this window thinking you can be the smartest man in the room and think, I found this player that nobody's ever heard about. He's got this, and this on an attribute or a dashboard. Just don't overthink it. Sometimes the easiest answer is the right answer.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Stats will do that too, though, won't it? But it's got to be someone that can hit, as we say, it's got to be someone who hits the ground running. Because Leaf, fair play to him, wasn't great at the start of the season, was he? He gave the penalty away against Bolton, took a while to grow into the role. Then we started seeing glimmers of him against Forest Green from there on in. But we haven't really got that luxury with the games coming thick and fast. And like you say, Sheffield and Plymouth, first 2 months of the new year, that's going to be someone who can make an impact in those games. As Phil said, we don't want to be losing either of those.
No. Anything else before we go? We've got Colin and Jez starting tomorrow with Callie. George and Tux will be with me. There's no Wednesday show, so we'll also be looking ahead to Oxford, the Boxing Day fixture tomorrow as well. Anything else before we depart? An hour and 23. We've done a long time today.
Steve Perry was 23 minutes of that.
Let me think about this one first. No.
I think you were going to say that.
No. I imagine you will be.
I ain't watching either. It's my wedding anniversary today, so we're going out for lunch.
You're off out for lunch.
I'll record it. Difficult one, isn't it? I think France will win.
Yeah, I think the France got the know-how.
I'd like to see Messi win a World Cup, but I just feel like the French. Something about them. No, I do Argentina deserve to win the World Cup after losing to Saudi with their first team. I don't know. I hope it's a good game anyway.
So yesterday, Croatia won the third place game.
Yeah.
And they got a medal for it.
Nonsense.
Bronze medal.
Get rid of it.
Medal, it?
Here's your medal for being average.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that, isn't it? The third and fourth place playoff. It's probably just do that, mate.
It's big good news for the fishermen before we go. Southgate's staying.
I'm not a fan of that either, to be honest with you.
Who would you have had to replace him out of interest? No one really comes out.
Tuchel or Pochettino I'd have gone for.
So you'd have gone for a manager?
Yeah, I don't care. As long whoever it is the best person for the job. Look, Southgate look, you can't say that he's not done a decent job, guys, because you look at where we were when he came in. But there's 3 tournaments there that we've had a golden chance of winning at least one of them. You know, Brendan Rodgers is another one, Matt Stanhope. Yeah, I'd go for him, but we haven't. We've given him another chance. You know, it's another chance. Oh yeah, good old Gareth. You know, he's a nice guy, Southgate. But has he got that winning mentality? Look, we're going to find out because Germany's just around the corner. 2024. It's 18 months away. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
We will. All right, we're done. Hit the like button, subscribe, become a Talking Town Fit today. Thank you for watching. Back tomorrow, 8:30 with love, with care. Happy anniversary.